Hi, I'm Father Bob Pecoraro, and I'd like to welcome you to the second video installment for our Canisius High School Move to Greater Love retreat. Over the past 3 weeks, we've been praying along with the Jesuit Assistancy and our colleagues in ministry. And here at Canisius, currently 165 of us are praying along with this retreat. And this video installment will focus on the grace that we've been praying for over the last 2 weeks, and that is the grace of gratitude. The Jesuit spiritual guide Anthony DeMello says that we sanctify what we are grateful for. And I think what this means is that even the struggles in our life become moments of transformation. And when they do become moments of transformation, they become graced moments where we recognize that pain and struggle can be a catalyst for God's grace. Early on in the retreat, we were reminded in the reflection entitled Putting on the Heart of Christ, that if we think of everything as sent to us from God, then we are continually being called and sustained by God. And when this happens, we will stand in awe not only before sunsets and mountains, flowers and trees, but also and especially before every person that we meet. Remember, the love of God is diffusive. It is meant to be sent out. And by its nature, it cannot be controlled or contained. And when we recognize that love is present in our lives, creating in us a sense of God, sustaining us with that sense of God, healing and transforming us with that sense of God, we can't help but do the same to those around us, to help to sustain them, to help to create them, to help to heal them, and to help to transform them. And it's from here that gratitude grows. But I can imagine that as some of us are praying through this, we say, well, I can't get to that place. I can't feel grateful. There are things going on in my life that are blocking my ability to see this grace in my life. And this happens from time to time. But St. Ignatius says that if you can't desire something, if you can't desire the grace to be grateful, then you can pray for the desire to desire. It's an understanding that sometimes we feel up against it. Sometimes we feel as if we just can't get there. Sometimes we just feel empty. And if this is the case, I would suggest that you make that emptiness part of what you offer to God. That you make that emptiness, or that anxiety, or that fear, or whatever it is that is blocking you from the grace of gratitude, to offer it up to God. Let God carry the burden with you. And perhaps this is something to be grateful for. As I said, 165 of us are praying through this retreat. And I asked you at the beginning of the retreat, what drew you into this retreat? The call to deepen your own connection with God is perhaps something to be grateful for. Something struck you when you heard about the retreat. Something pulled you in. Something said inside of you, this is something I want to do. And as Walter Burghardt told us in the March 13th reflection, a living Christ infuses faith in you, fills you with hope, and inflames your very bones with a unique love not of this world. And so as we pray through this retreat, as we continue to get closer to God, as we continue to walk along with Christ and walk along with the Society of Jesus, as we continue to think about mission in the 21st century, and as we continue to pray with one another, perhaps the grace is being infused with that love of Christ. Perhaps the grace is feeling that connection. We were asked throughout these few weeks to reflect on the blessings and struggles in our lives and God's presence in all of them. Perhaps we can be grateful for that presence, for the sanctification of all the events of our lives. God's presence in both the joys and great rewards and in the pain and the sorrow. His presence with us as we walk along this retreat. And you might be asking at this point, well, how do I know when these graces are manifest? How do I know when God's grace is being active? And there's two things I might suggest looking for as a barometer. The first is what St. Ignatius calls internal consolation, a feeling inside, perhaps a warmth or an openness of heart or a feeling of thrush as you pray through and as you meditate on the reflection material that we have. That sometimes there is that enormous sense inside of God's presence, a feeling, a felt presence. And if it's not coming in that form, then Ignatius says to look for also any increases in life of faith, hope, and love. So if as you continue to move through the prayers, you're feeling a bit more faithful, if as you're continuing to move through these prayers, you're feeling a bit more hopeful, if in praying through these prayers, you're feeling more of a sense of love for God, for yourself, for others around you, Ignatius calls this also consolation. This is a sign that God's grace is present. As we move forward, we'll begin praying over the next 2 weeks with the grace of spiritual freedom. And as we move forward, let us keep in our hearts the words of Adolfo Nicolas, the Superior General of the Jesuits, in his March 20th reflection, and pray to experience God's radical call, which is inviting us to consider all things and look to the future as Ignatius did at Manresa. As you look forward to the future, as you look forward to the future of Canisius High School, as you look forward to your involvement with the school and with those we serve, what do you see? As we continue forward, know that I will be praying for you and know that I will be praying with you. And I look forward to our next video session.